Hello,
Hello.
Carissa.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for coming on and joining and deciding to do this with me.
Of course, I'm so on it. Like, it's really just a dream, you know? Thank you. Like, I think about the journey and I'm just like, we're here now. Like, this is so cool.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. And I know that last week or whatever week I had to change,
Oh,
but now we have it on divine timing.
it really, honestly, because like now even more miracles have happened. You know what I mean? Like, the magic and the potency is
Wow.
like grown.
I love that in like a week.
Yeah, no, literally, like, I'm pretty sure I like rebirth, like, quantum leaped a lot. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, I can't even put a number on it.
Yeah, there's been a big shift collectively. And like, as we're in the same containers together, we're all moving through it. So that's so beautiful how it just happens and it's just spreading through. We're already recording. I realized I was going to stop it and start it, but I feel like we're off to a good start. So I'm going to leave it. But I want you to share, Carissa, more about who you are in the world, the things that you're working on, what you're bringing to life, anything you feel called to share.
Yeah. This is I love that you brought this up actually because I've done a lot of these, like opportunities to speak and to connect and to share who I am. And I'm just ready to almost like break free of that. You know what I mean? Like it's like now I'm like those things that I would have introduced myself as and those ways that I defined myself and who I was and all of these things, like I'm not attached to them anymore. Like that paradigm, I believe you would call it, has like broken and left, So it's a new space to expand into of just like I am a woman who allows herself to just live and breathe free and happy and embrace anything and everything that comes my way and listen to it. And I have fun with life now.
Yeah, I love that. Do you help? You do help women though. You do work in the world because that's what I
Yes.
want.
Yeah. No,
I
yeah.
mean, those things which we love because we don't want the work
Yeah.
to leave us, but
Well, and that was like a huge part of working with you. And like where my story began is because my job was my title. Like that was everything to me. Like that controlled my life, that controlled my happiness, that controlled every ounce. So for me now, just to step forward and say, I'm Carissa. Like yeah, like I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm all of these things, but I'm Carissa. So that
yeah.
was the coolest part. But yes, I own a dance studio and then I also own a coaching and healing business. Just really just divining and like to be able to guide and support women on their journey, as well as these children in our youth. You know what I mean? Like that is everything to me, to be able to show them a different world and like that dance gets to be different for us and we get to have a different conversation and we can be really amazing technical dancers, but it doesn't have to all be about that. Like we can have fun with it. We can talk about our emotions. We can work through things. And then in the same process, now it's expanded and I'm helping their moms and I'm helping different women in the community as far as that goes as well. So it's like we're continuing to deepen into this work.
I love that. And movement and dance, it's like it ties into such healing in the somatic world, as you know. And tell us where you're at for anyone listening, because someone may catch this and be like, where's her dance studio? I want to go. I want to
Thank
check it
you.
out.
Yeah. So currently we're in Greeley, Colorado, northern Colorado, but there is a big shift coming with that soon as well. So we're going to be expanding in northern Colorado. And I also do online work as well. So
Yeah.
it's open for expansion in all areas.
I love that. And who knows where we'll be. If you heard the
Yeah,
beginning of the interview, you don't know where she's going to be in a month from now.
I know. I
It's all
mean,
over the place.
the childhood dream was, I grew up, I'm very much a dreamer. So it was like, grew up, like, I was like, I'm going to own all these studios and choreograph around the world and do all of these things. And now I actually get to tour around the world as well, and I'm a judge for different dance companies. So I get the opportunity to teach in different cities and then to judge competitions, hold conversations, you know what I mean? Give motivational speeches to dancers all over the world. And that's huge. I thought all along I wanted to be that backup dancer. And then once I gave myself that voice and the opportunity to be seen and heard and not just behind someone, it was like, oh, that's it. Like, that's where I want to play.
I love that. And I feel like you're the kind of judges we need that are judging other kids. And like, you know what I mean? Someone that's conscious with love and care and compassion. It's just like, that's how our work just ripples in all the ways. Carissa, tell us, and even me, I don't think I know exactly, like, how did you come into my world? What was your like intro into my world?
Okay. So I took the Summer Money Miracles. I believe that was 2021. I want to say that was 2021. Yeah. So I actually had my coach and healer, Jamie. She had introduced me to your world and everything like that. And then I took Money Miracles, and then it just continued to grow from there. And I'll always remember that Money Miracles because it was just like opened my eyes, and I was like, oh my gosh, like there was miracles everywhere all the time, and we're always receiving. And I didn't even know it. And I started carrying around like a sticky note and
Mm.
would write down every single day all the things that I would receive, the discounts, the blessings, the compliment, the opportunity to say yes, like whenever I felt that nudge. And that's when I began also like living that white robe life, like I like to call it, because it was like I just want to experience being in this white robe and like feeling so held and upgraded 24/7, because that was my intention, was to find freedom and happiness.
I love that, the white robe life. And I know, I remember the summer of 2021, we had a bomb money miracles. Like the money miracles, when they were happening, it was like, it's big energy. But I do remember you in the group now that we're sharing. I didn't know if you came into my world in some other master class or something, but I remember you sharing, like you were sharing all of your updates and sharing like ahas, and just, I feel like that's what you do. I always ask Chris, I'm like, are you going to write a book? Because you write, like you go into the depths of sharing. I'm like, you have a book in you. You have something, there's something that's trying to come through. So I really love that. So then you did Money Miracles with me. I know you were still in my world. I would see you online and things. And then you came back into the money or Miracle realm. When was that? That was like in
That
May-ish,
was,
June.
yeah. Because I first signed up to just do like Money Miracles as the return,
Oh yeah,
and then upgraded it. Yeah, that was this summer in June.
yeah. So it feels like not that long ago,
Yeah.
but I love that. I noticed some people were coming into Money Miracles, like for the alumni, because they're like, all right, I want to be back in the field of this. I want to be back in the energy of this. And then you came into the realm. Tell us what it's like being in the miracle realm for you. Like, what is that experience like?
I don't even know the girl that I was in June. Like I
Wow.
don't know, like, and I say girl because really that's who I was, you know what I mean? Like now I'm a woman. Like I have become so many different versions of the woman that I dreamed to be, and that I looked up to, and that I didn't even know was capable and possible for me to be. I mean, it makes me emotional, I'm just such an emotional little ball here all the time over here, but it's it just leaves me speechless, because it opened me up to all of the miracles, and then it expanded, and it was like it transcended into my household and my husband, and seeing him become a man, and just like, but yet a man in the softness. And conversations started to flow in ways that they never flowed before, because it was like we were both opening up and deepening, but yet not even knowing what was happening, you know what I mean? And then it was like with our kids, and then continue to expand throughout our entire community and our world. So it's like the realm is literally like an expansion, it's a deepening into the freedom. It's a deepening into the white robe life, like to get to know that I'm a woman who invests in myself like that. Like that's even cool. I was talking on my healing group, a pod that I'm running right now today, and I was just like reminding myself, like, I'm the woman that people look at, like, that will invest in herself. I'm the woman that people, give opportunities for, and like even, would assume, that I have certain kinds of money or certain ways that I show up for myself because the way I carry myself. And even to me, that's an upgrade, because I'm like, oh my gosh, like people really look at me like that now. And I just, yeah, I mean, it's like literally the realm is like a full blanket of support, you know what I mean? But yeah, all of the like little bubbles, like those magical bubbles, I blow bubbles in little kid dance classes, and I'm like, pop them. And, you get to see how the little kids like pop the bubbles and how much fun they start to have, and the magic that happens, and all of those things, and the glitter and all that stuff. And I feel like that's the realm, because we're constantly popping little bubbles, and we're constantly like doing all the things, you know what I mean? And it's like it gets to be this fun, and like, I can be that vulnerable. I can cry on mentorship calls like last week, and just be like, I can't believe I'm doing this with a group of women. But it's also like I get to do this with this group of women, and know that like they love and accept me as I am, no matter what.
I love that so much. And I love the analogy of the bubbles. And I feel like it's so excitement, like the excitement for me is there because I come up with a new idea and I'm like about to tell the realm. It's like this week on Monday, I get this download, like embodiment of grace. I share it with you all maybe Tuesday, and then Friday, it's like we're having the session. And you all get to go on to me. It's like, I tell people now it's the best value of anything I offer because there's so many things that are coming through and it touches all the different aspects of life for a woman that's just looking to live a big life, business, money, emotional, spiritual. One of my mastermind members, maybe she'll listen to this if it's on the podcast. She said yesterday, she's like, I'm wondering what it's like in the realm. I imagine it to be like church. I don't go to church. I don't have a church, but I feel like your teachings feel like a church to me sometimes. And I was like, yeah, it could be kind of like that, but we're touching on all the things.
I love that. That's so true though. You know what I mean? Because it's like, I remember when you were running like introducing Soul Authority, and it was like those Monday calls. And to me, it was like, yes, I'm going to get my pep talk on Monday, you know? But the thing is that now in the realm, if we want a pep talk every Monday, we get a pep talk every Monday. You know what I mean? Like we can tap into that pep talk anytime we want because there's so many different opportunities. And I love that you always remind us that when we listen to something again, then a different message comes through. Because I'll tell you, like during that miracle week, there was a couple different times that I would re-listen to certain days and I would hear stuff that I didn't hear before. Like, and it was like I couldn't get past a certain day because it was just so potent.
Yeah. And I'm like that when I am a receiver and a student myself. So that's why I tell everyone, like, don't be afraid to be a student. Like someone in my mastermind asked me that. They were like, I try to avoid more information, but if we're already plugged into information that's not serving us, a paradigm, a belief set, a feeling, why not plug into something that's going to uplift you, activate you, remind you of something? And that's not my stuff. It's across the board. What would you say? I know there's hundreds of women that have done money miracles. And then some of them probably think, should I do the miracle realm? I just want to learn about money, or money's more juicy and exciting, feels more present. What would you say going from money miracles to miracle realm? I don't know, anything you feel called to share as that woman that did that.
It's the continued upgrade, and it is that magic of staying in the container. Because I remember when I decided to re-sign up for Money Miracles, even doing that week, like I just had this nudge and it was like, I'm ready to be held again. Like I want to be supported again. Like I'm ready, you know, like I'm so willing. And then as I deepened into it, and now it's like I don't ever have to leave it. You know what I mean? Like I get to always be supported. I get to always have a container, you know, and it's like it's just I'm always upgrading, you know, like really, I mean, when you ask me a lot of these things, it really just leaves me speechless because just reflecting on where I've been and where I am, and then like to know how exciting it was that first time in Money Miracles when you decide to give yourself an upgrade. I gave my daughters and I a yes weekend. I remember that was like my first thing that I did in Money Miracles, the very first round. And then it was like I invited my mom to come down to the hotel that we were staying at, and I had told her, order whatever you want off the menu. And of course she went through and she was like, oh, you're gonna pay that for that? And I was like, yes, I am, and you're gonna order it. And then it was like I got to see how it activated her, and then how that activated me, and then activated my girls, and it just continued. But it was like that was starting point. Now it's like we're looking at investing in new buildings. We're looking at, you know, I just bought a dream car that I, you know, like just because. And it was like, do I need a new car? No. Do I want a new car? Yeah. Like, and I'm going to do it. Last night I get a nudge to offer a different program. Today it's already exploding, you know, like, and it's just that nudge of like, hey, somebody just came to my mind. I'm not going to push it away because they came. I'm going to send them a quick message and just see why. And I love that we even share the conversation we did the other night, because like I thought it was even a moment that like both of us had to have that realization of the work that like we've like the work that you do, and then the work that like I've done, you know what I mean? Like to be able to just connect to like this is how we show up in life now, and this is how you've taught and guided us to show up in this life. Like I don't question any nudge. And of course that little like, you know, like the little one wants to come in and try to self-sabotage over here and just be like, why'd you just throw that out there? You didn't think it through, you didn't plan, you didn't do these things. But then also people sign up, and so it's like it gets to be this easy, you know,
That
like
same
it
little
gets to
girl
be
is
this easy.
creating though. She's the same
Yeah.
one that's like, let's create. But then it's like the scared part of her is like, no, what if nobody? Yeah. I love this. And like your dream car when you bought it, and we just share about this, like, look at this evolution. It's like from inviting your mom to order anything off the menu. And then she's like, you're going to pay for all this, like these patterns that have been generational that you are just breaking through and you're like, yeah, we're going to buy this. And I am a woman that invests in myself monthly. I am a woman that buys my dream car because it delights me. I am a woman that's expanding her business. I'm a woman that's changing lives. And I feel like even sharing with how your husband has deepened into his next level of like true healthy masculinity and that you feel safe in that. It's like, I wish more women understood that when they're looking at something, it's not just, oh, this is $1,000 a month. I don't know, that's a lot. But if we think about every part of our life that it pours into, it's like, it doesn't even begin to touch on that dollar. It's just a number that I've created, but you know, it's like, it's worth so much more. It's worth so much more.
I agree 1,000%, because it's even, I was talking about this the other day on a live too. And it's the fact that I'm having these playing, so it's like just openly playing in my house. So whether it's in the morning while I'm in the shower and my husband's hearing that as he sleeps, then things are transcending that way. And he's
Yeah.
coming in and hearing little pings, you know what I mean? And then the fact that my kids are always around, my daughters are always around. I sometimes have students in the car with me. I'm listening and I'm, staying in this activation, this conversation. So then now that's like part of their normal. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like they are growing up as, this is the way that my mom shows up for herself. This is the way that my mom invests in herself. And like, this is what we do. And
Yeah.
that is so cool. Like it's not, an unknown for them. Like this is a normal, and like to be able to normalize that, that's cool.
That is moving to me too, to think like people's husbands are just listening, their kids are listening. Like, obviously, I know you all, I think of all your faces and your hearts in the miracle realm. Like, I get excited about some of your shares and all the things. But when I think about that, it's so true. And I know that my daughter has listened to my teachers and mentors over the years. And it's just a ripple effect that we're all creating when we step into this vortex and we're just like, I'm going to follow where we're going. I'm going to follow this nudge. So any other, well, you know what I feel like, because you touched on it, the mentorship calls. I love the mentorship calls because I feel like it's an intimate time where even in the realm, I'm not in the group really connecting, but it's like we have our calls where we dive deep into whatever's there. And you mentioned last time it was emotional for you because you were like you were on the verge of making a big decision and the emotions that can come up there. But for someone that's like, what the hell is a mentorship call? How would you describe it? Or what's your experience of those?
The mentorship calls are like a huge upgrade, because you're literally having the opportunity to have like, private coaching in a sense, or individualized coaching, and being held, but yet being at the price of the realm.
Yeah.
Like that's uncomparable, you know what I mean? So for me, it was like, I went through a couple, different mentorship calls where it was just listening, of course. And it wasn't that I was afraid to share or anything like that, but it just, there was nothing coming up yet, and knowing that that's okay too. And being able to be the upgraded woman that says, I don't have to find a problem or find something, that I have to speak and stuff, that like whatever comes up on this call, I'm going to learn and grow from no matter what. And it's okay to be just where I'm at. It's like, again, that upgraded version of life, that we don't have to find these problems, and we don't have to like look for all these things, and just being able to like continue to remind me that the float and flow. And like, if something comes by, then sure, let's look at it and you could come in and sit a little closer. But otherwise, it's safe for me to continue floating and flowing through life. And that's what that mentorship is. And then when that you do have that opportunity, that's you get the ping, like I had last week, it was so exciting, because I was literally just like, I didn't even care if I was going to be late for school pickup. I was like, I need to get this question in because I need to at least be witnessed. And then I end up crying through the whole thing. But it was like so beautiful, because it was like, oh, I guess I just need emotional release here, and just the reminders of what I know, but yet said to me in such a different way. And it's
Yeah.
just, it's so much support, it's like,
I love it.
um, I almost find it as a way that you are able, your medicine and your magic, especially in those mentorship calls, are able to kind of come forward to us as like that bigger sister, but like the mothering role,
Yeah.
that's going to have that, fine balance between the softness and the feminine and that nurturing, but also that beautiful role of the masculine that's like, you know what, we're done with our bullshit. Let's go.
Yeah. Again, I'm like, we can plan both. We'll know what we're needed when, but I love that. I love that you feel that. And absolutely, like, and I would say this for even anyone else, like, no one ever has to find a problem on the mentorship call. Even for me with my own mentor, sometimes it's like, here's what I'm playing with in my mind. I don't know if I'm bringing it to life yet. I don't know how I feel, but like, let's get it out and like, let it breathe like a fine wine. Like, let's let it breathe a little bit. And we get to play in that. And I feel like that's the thing. Some people are like looking for, let me figure out everything I'm going to get for this. And I love that you've trusted so much. Like you said, like you trust yourself so much that you're just going to show up and you're in that receiving mode. You're getting what you need from it. And every time will be different. And I love that because it just shows that you have embodied the grace. You have embodied the grace.
Well, and the somatic sessions, like
Yeah.
that's a great thing. Like, like those, I remember there was one time I've been really trying to build a new relationship. I don't like to say the word try. I've been building a new relationship with rest time, so for me, I always had this story of, if I'm gonna have my kids all day long and then I'm gonna go and run my business all evening, I'm gonna need this long nap or whatnot. And now I'm letting myself play with that a little bit more, and maybe it looks different one day from the next. So
Yeah.
I've been actually using the somatic sessions for that. And I will literally feel like I took like the longest nap ever. I will do one of those somatic sessions and I am like ready to go and fired up, and like my energy, I've literally been felt it physically, that like my eyes come back to life and like energy inside of my body after the somatic session. And
Love
it's
it.
beautiful because it doesn't have to be this like big dramatic, release. It's just there. It's almost like just being.
I love that. I I think this is the thing that, especially in our world where everyone's going so fast and I feel like all of us women, especially if I think of my clients, like we're coming home after learning to work so hard and not rest enough and think that our value is in our doing. And we get to rest, we get to wake up with no alarm if that's our dream. And like doing some of these things for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, it recharges our body. It's anti-aging. It brings our real true glow that makeup can't give us. So
100%. Yes, yes.
yeah,
Yeah. And it's like, who needs the energy drink? We have Nicole. Like,
when really it's our own systems. We're just like tapped in, but we've been taught not to. So I love everything that you touched on. It's like having you come in here and share your experience. Obviously, I love having you in the group. You bring so much value, always meeting people at their hearts and sharing, your wisdom. And that's the thing I love about this is we're not for 6 weeks where we just get to know each other like a program and then everybody goes off on their own. And then sometimes we come back to another thing. Like we're in it for a year. I think that's the final thing. I'm curious. Is this your first 1-year program?
yes, I believe so. I mean, as a dancer, I invested a lot in my training going back and forth to LA and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And I would dive in, and spend years and years and years. But as far as this kind of
Like coaching and
container,
things. Yeah.
because
Because
I'm trying to think with Jamie, I don't think that we did a full year.
okay. Because
So
it's
yeah,
different. And I feel like we evolve and we might just be like, oh, and I know this was my case. It's like, I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to do this when it feels good. I'm going to do this retreat. I'm going to do that. And it felt really good and it served me. And then there got to a point where it was like, oh my gosh, like I can keep doing all these things with all these different people, or I can make a commitment and go all in. And it was kind of scary at first because it's like, can I hold the investment? Can I do the things? What's it going to be like? And once I did it, I was like, there's nothing like a 1-year container. Like it's like so much space. Like you don't have to, for me, it's like, I'm not in lack. This stuff is here. I can
100.
plug in what I want to. It's not like I'm beating the clock. It's like we have a year together. And I feel like this with all of you. So I'm curious your experience with that.
I love it because, in the beginning, I definitely was just like, oh, I have to do all the things because that was, my mold, that was my training. So I'm like, okay, let's get it on the calendar. We're doing this, this, and this, and this, and this. And then it was like, there's already so many amazing programs that are being in the present that it was just like, let me show up for this. And like, whenever I feel called, I'll show up for the other things,
Yeah.
but being in this year, like, honestly, there is those moments that I already think about past the year and I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to leave this. Like, this is good. Like, I
Yeah.
want to stay. But
Yeah.
then it's also like that exciting conversation of like, what is next? Because if I already like held this and was capable of this, like, what are we expanding to next? And
Yeah.
I know it's like, I'm not directly answering that, but
No, you
you
did.
know,
It is
okay.
answering. I mean, I think you by
Yeah.
saying that, like, you're in it and you're like,
I want
I'm
more.
you're like, what's the next upgrade? I think that tells the answer. Yeah.
And I've seen that expand in our life too, because now my husband, it's like, we are investing in our kids a different way. We're investing in our family a different way. He's now, like we'll go and he's into ATVs right now. And I've
Yeah.
seen him literally just like, someone gives him a ping and he's like, okay, sounds good. We'll show up for it. Let me get the cash tomorrow. And it's just like, huh? Like
Yeah.
we never had this kind of conversation or these exchanges, but then now we invested in paying for a private preschool. I mean, there's this like continuous. But then instead of thinking like, the old version would have had our conversations as far as like, well, next year we'll be done with that monthly payment. So we'll have that extra money.
Yeah.
Now we're like, what are we investing in next? So we're already like planning, like, so for, like that money, it gets to continue being invested and we don't have to, like I've really learned and expanded. I don't have to micromanage it. I don't have to store and save and stuff like that. Like I get to keep having fun with my money and my investments.
I hear that. When all these things you're sharing, I just hear trust. I just hear it's like trust. All of this, like, we'll wait till next year. It's like, okay, this is a precious year of our life. This is stuff I teach, but you get it. It makes me so happy. I'm like, this is what we get to do. It's what we get to do. And I love that your kids are growing up with this because this is going to be how they move about with life and their opportunities. So this is so amazing. Let us know like where you like to hang out and share your wisdom in the world, like Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Where do you like to?
So I am on Instagram and I'm on Facebook as well. So either one of those kind of containers. I definitely love more of the private communities too, though. I have certain little groups that I just tap in with lives continuously because I am building a relationship with being in the journey of 100K. I just finished that second session. And so yesterday morning after finishing that, it was like, all right, time to grow and expand again. Like, am I playing and stepping up? The dance studio has been open 14 years now. I never had an
Wow.
Instagram for that.
Wow. That's
So
amazing.
yesterday,
For 14 years.
yeah. So
That's so
yesterday I woke up and I made an Instagram for it, and it's like
amazing.
thinking back to I feel like I've gone on that pathway, kind of like where you were at with your book, and you had that moment where you looked at everything and where, like your mission and stuff. And I feel like that's where I've been at recently is just really seeing the journey of the dance studio.
Mhm.
And that 17 years ago, I was, 17 years old, calling places, writing proposals, just woke up one morning after watching the movie Honey and decided to teach, dance
Amazing.
and, started renting. I was at 8 different cities renting buildings, you know what I mean? Like renting rooms. And then now, and it's really cool, because there has been those moments. And I would say that this journey with you and definitely with Money Miracles and just the work that we do in general, I feel like I'm going through a huge rebirth because there was a time just when I began all of these programs. So that summer of 2021, I didn't know where my marriage was going to go. I didn't know where my dance studio was going to go. I really was just like going to take a leap of faith on this healing business. And hopefully that was going to provide. And I was going to quit everything and be the stay-at-home mom.
Mm.
And to see where I'm at now is like game changer 100% because my marriage, it's like how much like we get to have this time together. Like, it's like that's the thoughts have totally changed. The conversations have totally changed. The business, I don't want to leave the dance studio. I'm expanding. We're growing. We're doing more. And the coaching and healing business, it's not limited in the fact of this, I only do these on these days and I can only do this much in the container. Now, whatever program, whatever thing comes up, whatever client comes, it's yes, as long as my soul feels it. And it's just such an abundant and expansive life. But yet I have more freedom. I have more play. I have more rest.
Yeah.
I like you've explained yourself, I do less work. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's what we get to have. I love this. You came home to yourself in a way, and you also shared something that reminds me of a lot of women that come into my world. We have this idea that we have to choose one or the other. So sometimes when something comes up for us, like I'm meant to be a healer, or I want to do healing work, or I want to do coaching, they're like, well, I can't do this. It's like we can integrate both. We can hold many things. We can just get to hold them differently than we thought we could. So I love that you have expanded and like just opened up your capacity. And now all these things are thriving and your relationship is thriving. Your kids are the beneficiaries of all this work. Carissa, I'm just so grateful for you. I'm so honored that you have chosen me to walk with you for this season of your life. And it's a privilege and it's exciting and it's a beautiful thing to witness your metamorphosis as you continue and share all the things with me. And thank you for coming here and sharing your wisdom and your magic with all of my community. It
Thank
means
you so much for the opportunity, and just I have so much love for you and so much respect, and just
everything.
I'm like, I don't want to cry, but thank you for showing me it gets to be different.
Yes. This is the work we do with each other. Like we're literally doing this with each other, and it's for all women. It's all for all the men. Like we get to all do things in a different way than we've been taught. And we're part of the collective softening that's happening right now. And it's beautiful. So thank you, Carissa.
Yes, thank you, Nicole. I appreciate you so much.